in the summer since I was.
Yeah, no, it's,
And I'm 62 now. I want a week off
that sounds about right.
where my phone doesn't ring and nothing has to get done. Oh, well. Could be worse problems, I guess. Does this trailer have a bathroom?
Yes, it's it's one of those two doors, I think it's the second floor.
Gotcha, thanks.
Right, sorry, guys. For some reason, our name was showing up with Peter Grace. It's not giving me the option anymore to rename, I can't find it. But it's through. And we're also short humans right now. So.
Be a sparse meeting, huh?
All right, now, Rich. They don't have even the. No,
What is a quorum?
there are. You guys,
Thank you, I don't know. I need to let me.
right now, we're at.
Where's Seth? That he's wearing a hat. Can't be on Nantucket. Oh, there it is.
No, that's.
That was in February.
I was like, where are you right now that you're wearing?
No, that's just a picture. It's a picture from Low Beach in February. And it's
Gotcha.
in the band goals there.
That makes a little more sense.
All right, do one more. And I'm sure we'll come as a shock to anyone who's been here. We'll give everyone a few more minutes, because I'm sure traffic is bad.
Yeah, it's that time.
Now, Tara will be joining us later. Her group from the Boys and Girls Club didn't make it to the hatchery until 45 minutes after they were supposed to.
Oops.
You know, Quick, non-meeting related question for Kim or Kristen. They can hear me. Is there any way I can get you guys to send me the attendees list from the public meeting?
Yes, I believe I have that. Oh, did I freeze? Yeah,
But
now I look frozen, but I was still talking. Okay, yes, I have that. I can send it.
awesome, because we so we had the CTN coastal conference on Island the week after. And we registered like 100 or 105 for that. And one of the questions we got asked was how much overlap was it from that conference to the harbor plan public meeting? So we have interest was the guy, let's figure out how many unique participants we have for the 2 meetings on back to back.
Summer tree, yeah.
Yep, I can send it. Are you guys having trouble hearing, Jeff, or is that just me?
He's garbled.
I can hear part of what you're saying.
Well, we do have a quorum now, however, we don't share or vice.
Sorry, let me just get here.
Yeah, all good. It probably doesn't, probably when I'm yelling, yes, it's coming out the house.
The only email I saw was from Jessie that said she wouldn't come.
Yeah, she's the only one that said she wouldn't be here.
Yes, that's me. Right,
If you would love to, Peter, that would be great. I'll leave a brief on that chat.
I wouldn't love to, but okay,
I think if you just call it to order, Kim and I can kind of take it from there.
call to order and just hit the highlights.
Yes.
Sure. But then where's the,
I can't take it.
you got the sheet
Script.
which I've never read. Okay.
All right, Peter's gonna share.
Okay. Which part do I read? Do I read public participation guidelines or just the confirming member access? Or do I read
Let's just start.
this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we ready?
Yep.
Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Harbor Plan Update Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Harbor Plan Update Committee is convening by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees participating by video conference are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting meeting materials have been provided of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone and computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Items for public comment. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. We now call this meeting of the Harbor Plan Update Committee to order Monday, June 26, 2023 at 1:09 p.m. I don't know, do we approve the agenda? Do we do that, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to ask for an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Aye.
Moved by Emily Molden, seconded by Steve Leinbach. Roll call vote. Steve,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
who else is up there?
Seth's up there.
Seth,
Aye.
And Sam.
and who? And Samantha.
Samantha, aye.
Okay. Okay, approval of the minutes. I did the minutes today for May 1, still working on the others. So I'll take a motion for the approval of the May 1, 2023 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Approval of the minutes, moved by Seth Engelborg, seconded by Steve Leinbach. Roll call vote. Steve Leinbach,
Aye.
Seth Engelborg,
Aye.
Samantha Danette,
Aye.
Emily Molden,
Sorry, aye.
chair votes aye. Okay, I think it's you, Jeff. Review of the June 5 public meeting, Kim Starbuck.
Hi, first just wanted to ask Kristen, are you available just to give a quick update on the notice to proceed?
Sure, I'm happy to report that it showed up in the environmental monitor that went out last week. And so that's a very big milestone for the committee. Congratulations. That means that it will be available for public comment for the next 30 days. We don't anticipate much, if any, comment. If other harbor plans are any indication of how this one will go, but it is required in order to officially kick off the 2-year planning timeline. Yeah, and Jeff and Tara have notified others that needed to be notified as part of the process. I think it's going to appear in a paper, right, Jeff? I don't know if you've done that part yet, but it has to be posted in a periodical of circulation, popular circulation, wide circulation.
Yes, we're waiting for our proof to get back from the INF, but it's scheduled to be.
So the 2-year clock officially start after the 30-day review period, and that's done.
Yeah, so there's a 30-day review period, and then the state will come back to the town and say, ideally, congratulations, we're looking forward to your planning effort, and we look forward to receiving the plan. And that is when the 2-year clock starts.
All right, great. Any questions on that? Okay, so now we want to spend most of this meeting talking about the August, how we want to engage people in August, a public meeting or other sorts. But first I wanted to review, since this is the first time we've met since the June 5th public meeting, wanted to review that meeting and see what you guys thought worked, what maybe didn't work. And, you know, it seemed to me like we got a lot of people there. I was happy with the turnout, but see what you guys thought about the turnout and if we got the right groups there. So yeah, just basically I wanted to open the floor to you guys. Just a note that I did send the notes to you all, that those were basically our notes from the breakout sessions. So if you could review those in the next week, the next step would be, if everybody agrees, that we can post those on the town website. I know Jeff right now just put forward for a slide from our presentation to be put up on the website too, the slide that has the timeline. So that's great. But are you guys all okay with taking a week to review? And if I don't hear anything from you, is it okay that that goes up on the town website as well?
I read the minutes or the notes that you said. It was very extensive. I thought that was very good.
Great. Yeah, we got a lot of good information out of those breakout groups. Okay, great. So why don't we talk a little bit about what you guys thought about the first meeting, what worked, didn't work, and if we got the right groups to attend.
I thought turnout was great. I think the whole, the way it was set up with the tables and the breakout and everything else was good. One of my neighbors, next door neighbors who came with me, but it's a public member. He visited 2 or 3 different tables and had conversations with people. I think the format was pretty good. I think the attendance was good. And I think we got a lot of the people early on that may not make it in August just because of work schedules during the summer. So I think that was also positive.
I'd love to hear from the note takers what they saw of the discussions at the tables to see if enough of the issues got talked about, because in the beginning at the coastal resilience table, there was a back and forth between one staff member, town staff member, and then 2 people at the table that went a little bit long. And so I guess I was the facilitator and I had to sort of get them to quiet down and let other people get in their 2 cents worth. I'm just wondering if we got a lot of issues at the tables, or did things get centered on various people's axes to grind?
Yeah, I know I can just speak for the water quality table. Emily did a great job trying to facilitate the conversation. I think that we also did, we had some uprising in our group. But generally I think that we were able to kind of guide the conversation well. And we had, a list of questions to go through, and I think we hit pretty much all of them. So we did get a good amount of a good amount of coverage on those issues. So I felt pretty good about it.
I think for the August meeting, if it's all feasible between now and then, I know that we're going through the 09 plan, kind of looking at what's been accomplished, what hasn't. That came up a lot at our table, where people were bringing things up and then kind of asking, well, where do we stand on this? Kudos to the note taker for keeping up with everything. And Tara was at the table with me, and what it really was turning into is people just peppering and hammering Tara with questions, wanting updates on things. So we weren't really getting the questions, like the feedback that we were looking for, because I don't think people had enough to go off of. So again, I don't know the feasibility of this. We kind of talked about it before we went into the June meeting. Does it make sense at the opening to maybe extend that to 20-25 minutes of presentation giving on the different topics, so people really know what breakout tables to go to, what are the main topics of conversation, what we've accomplished and what we haven't, kind of at a really top line level. I really felt bad for Tara having to just kind of be answering to just every single question at the table pretty aggressively. And as usual, there were a couple people that dominated the conversation. So maybe just a little bit more information, even if it's like, I think these notes going on the website will be helpful. But some sort of like bullet points on a couple different slides, I think would give people more to base their questions off of.
Yeah, Sam, I'd agree with that. I do think a little more background on what has been done would be helpful, and what the 2009 plan accomplished. Because we also were getting a lot of questions about that, and some people also had some information that wasn't fully correct. So thankfully, Emily and Jeff were there to kind of, provide them with the correct information. But I agree that some more background on that would be helpful. And also, for some people thought, they didn't think that much of the 2009 plan was actually implemented, when in actuality, we use that as kind of our gold standard. We think that a lot of what you guys had put forward on there actually has been implemented. So, you know, a lot of the information maybe wasn't totally accurate.
Some of the people that were questioning the implementation here are notorious for believing that nothing has happened anyways. So, little grain of salt.
Well, remember, I just did the minutes for May 1, and we were all nervous and cautious about doing breakout groups and wondering if anyone was going to show up and how it was going to go. And we got more than 80 people, I guess, or around 75 people. That's a decent amount of people that came. And so it's better that we got more people, buttonholing people, asking questions, you know. So it says that our population is fired up about it and are paying attention. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, and I'll report on the boating and navigation breakout. It was a good conversation. Nobody particularly dominated. We were fortunate to have both Sheila and Dave there to make clarifications on some of the questions that people had. So that was useful. And I think we got a lot of good information on that. So I think that breakout was successful.
Yeah, I was on that table too, and I don't recall a lot of people referring back to the 2009 plan, at least at our table. They were mostly looking for answers, a lot about access and things like that going forward, but not looking backwards.
I'm glad you said that. I was going to say that. I was going to mention that. That was true. If that was occurring at other tables, it didn't occur at ours. You know, a look back to the success of the 2009 plan.
Yeah, that was the case at the public access table too. I think it was a lot more forward looking. I'm not sure the 2009 plan came up at all. You know, we had a really good discussion. Wasn't too charged. Nobody really dominated, except for some folks from Madaket took the stage early, but then they got whatever they needed to get off their chest, and then everything was fine.
I have a sort of a general question about the breakout groups and how it functioned for other folks. I think as Kim said, we got through quite a lot, but at least from my perspective, I saw a lot of people that first arrived at water quality stay there for the entire time and not necessarily get up and move around. And I mean, that's obviously their choice. We made that available to them, but I'm sort of wondering in other groups where maybe there was more movement, just thinking about how many different things we were covering. Do you end up with folks who arrive at a table and really want to get into a topic that you've already discussed and kind of have to move on? I mean, maybe you just have to deal with that, but I'm just curious as we look to the next session if that came up or was an issue for anyone.
Yeah, if I may, I was at the other table, fun one. And we just to report back on a few things. So as you could imagine, there was quite a lot of varied discussion, which makes sense for other. There was a lot of people sort of circling through and transitioning to different tables, but pretty much, and the whole discussion is obviously captured in the notes, but pretty much the top three things that came to the forefront consistently by everyone coming through was petrol landing, Chapter 91, and fuel. So some of these things probably need to get called out as specific action items for the future. Some of them might be outside of this committee's control, like petrol landing is a complex litigation issue. But those three things are like clear priorities for the community. In that other section, there was reference to the 2009 plan, and there's reference to the future on those things. Thank you.
I guess if everyone from the committee's on, I think from my perspective, and Terry's not here yet, the vendor, so but her and I talking about it. I think we felt that it went really well, but it engaged a lot of folks, and definitely agree that there was a little bit you know, we need more information provided, but I think even if we gave a half-hour presentation, you're still gonna find that gap a little bit.
Jeff, I don't know why, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Is everybody else? I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just you.
That is the first time that it's ever been said to me. But here, Steve and Peter, okay?
That's a little bit better, yeah.
All right, let me move. I think I'm just behind the mic. I'll come and hang out with Peter. Is this better?
Much better, yes.
Yeah, I think I was just behind the microphone, so we should be fine.
Great.
No, I was just saying from, Tara and I discussed it afterwards from our perspective. I think we felt that it went really well and got a lot of good information. I know I think we felt that attendance was probably even better than we expected. I think that was really well attended for public meetings. We go to a lot of them, and that's one of the bigger crowds that we've seen.
Ever.
Yeah, it was pretty huge. So I think it was good. I mean, it kind of makes me interested to see how the August meetings will go for what comes up. But I really felt like a lot of people were giving good information. I mean, I think there are certain people that come and grind the same axes over and over again. And I think we saw that. And I know like in our water quality table, ultimately I took a singular individual and kind of kept him to myself so the rest of the group could talk. Which was totally fine, but I think overall the conversations seemed really pretty good. So I thought the format went well. I thought it was pretty clear and probably couldn't have asked for a better public meeting to start the engagement cycle than the one we had.
The only thing that's come up since then is that we have a July meeting at a different time, as well as an August meeting, and obviously a different time.
People have been asking you for a July meeting.
Yeah, because there are different people here in
Yeah.
July from August.
Yep.
And maybe people are crazed in August, like we all craze now.
Maybe.
And maybe July would be a good idea to capture people that are not here both times.
Yeah.
Especially the Brant Point, any of the people along the harbor.
Yeah, a lot of those people are here for 1 month or 1 month.
And
or
then they
the
break
other.
or whatever, so I think we need to plan on July meeting somewhere like the third week of July. And one in August.
So if we didn't talk about timing then too, August meeting would probably, if you want to capture the most people, it shouldn't be later than the middle of the month, because then people with kids and sports and everything else start disappearing.
Disappearing, yeah. So we should look at those dates. Or whatever they are, you guys want to come up with.
Right.
I mean, we do it at night.
Well, we had talked about too, doing one online only meeting.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, given its proximity, the fact that July is in 4 days. I'm wondering if it'd be easier to try to do an online one in July and then an in-person one in August. I don't know if Kim, Kristen, or Jack have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. I'm trying to remember what we put in the proposal. Woods Hole Group has an interesting service that they've offered to do, which is basically an online meeting where you can mark up a map with your thoughts. And so it's sort of a different take on a public meeting. It's much more geographically specific. And we can incorporate that into the public meeting if we wanted to do something online. So it could be sort of a online, but also you're putting notes on a map, and either that could happen during the meeting, or we could send people off after the meeting with information on how to do it and how to participate in that. So
I can tell you one thing, the STR meeting, which was all online, and then they separated us into different rooms, was a nightmare. It did not work. I don't ever want to experience that again. So it has to be everybody stays in the same room kind of thing.
I don't know. I mean, we did the coastal resilience a couple of years ago, and that was attended by 125 or 130 people, and they had breakout rooms.
It
that
did
were
not work
hosted,
for
and that-
SDR.
It worked for the coastal resilience meeting, I thought.
Yeah, really 160 people.
160, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that was the height of the
but I think, if people are here, you notice that a lot of the annual meetings, there's the State of the Harbor Forum that they have at the end of July.
Yeah.
And that's always well attended, and the Land Council's annual meeting is well attended, as is the Sconset Beach Preservation Fund's annual meeting is well attended, so people are programmed for those things, and this is, I think we want to engage people face to face. And maybe it's not a breakout thing. And you make it a hybrid so that more people can attend or something like that.
And the Grant Point Association, they're always well attended in July, and they have two meetings. They have one in July, one in August. Same
It's like-
thing with Surfside Association,
Yeah.
so.
Monomoy
People use-
Association, we're meeting July 8th. and,
Yeah.
You know, last time we met, we had 50 or 60 people there.
Yeah, people are already set in their heads about these things.
And going off of what Linda just said, you know, in July, everyone's happy and joyous that it's summer and and they're in a good mood, even though it's crowded, but in
Not
August, everyone is praised because they have so little time
Not last week.
and that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it in August, but July should capitalize on that positive energy, I think.
So one quick question then, as far as these meetings, once we hold, let's just say we hold one in July, one in August, then we're probably not gonna do another big public meeting until we have the plan written so that they can comment on the plan. Is that the way this goes?
Yeah, I think that's right. We'll have an online survey somewhere in between all of this. Which I think Kim has started to work on. But that's right. We'll go off and we'll do our drafting and work with you guys to get a plan ready for public consumption. And then that's the next big public engagement. And just to throw something out there, you know, we talk about public meetings, but really this is about engagement with the public. So if there are other events, I know folks rattled off a number of existing meetings, but if there are other events, we could put together sort of a roadshow presentation and make it more of like a drop-in session that tags along on other events if folks thought that was an interesting way to do it, rather than having another 2-hour meeting with breakout tables. There are alternatives to that option.
We have the Grant Point Association, which is gonna be, it needs to be heavily involved in chapter 91 and all the rest of, you know, subject to coastal flooding, et cetera, et cetera. The Grant Point Association is a really good place to take the road show. Maybe the Monomoy, but Grant Point in particular.
But also the, State of the Harbor Forum,
Yeah,
That would
they
make
have a
sense.
panel every year, maybe one of us can, or
Who sponsors that?
Urban Harbors could have a person on the panel.
who,
It's Land Council, right, Emily? And Great Over
Yeah. The State of the Harbor Forum is an event that we put on every year. We actually aren't planning to do a panel this year. It doesn't mean there couldn't necessarily be room for a presentation. It's going to be more of a single presenter, but that doesn't mean we couldn't necessarily add into the agenda something that was somewhat limited time-wise as far as awareness and engagement, especially maybe there's like a survey that goes along with it or something.
Could that be something, Emily, at that forum where we could just have a table somewhere, and if people wanted to have their comment about the harbor plan, we could just collect comments there and tell people that's available?
Yeah, I think that's definitely very doable. That would be very easy. And maybe there, even at a minimum, could just be a some brief comments about it to draw people over to the table as well while they're there, because then there's like a reception afterwards, so people have some time to mill around and do that sort of thing.
we have to have our survey there.
Yeah.
Well, we have, so the Monomoy Civic Association meetings on July 8th on the morning Saturday at Great Harbor, so it's probably too quick. I can talk to them about doing it. But aside from that, if we can set dates for the next two meetings, July and August, I can at least make an announcement to everyone there that these are when the dates are for these meetings. Just give them notice of that.
I think the one issue I'm having with the in-person in July is it may be difficult to book
That
a
Place.
space
Yeah.
at, given that July is 4 days away, 5 days away.
Then we have it in here.
Well, that would be great if we only want like 20 people.
And then just to throw it out there, the State of the Harbor Forum is July 18th, and there's also going to be a couple of Clean Water Coalition educational programs, that could be a good place for such a table or some additional information on July 11th. And then also at the end of August, August 28th at one of each of the two different yacht clubs.
I see Seth's hand is raised.
I see Seth up there.
Hi, thank you, everybody. So a couple points. So I think the idea of having a in-person meeting in July and in person in August is great. I hear what you're saying, Jeff, about booking a space. I will note that some of the rooms, larger rooms at the schools might be open since school is out of session. But if we can't do it, that's fine. I certainly don't support having an online only meeting in the summer. I think that defeats the purpose. If we're trying to engage people when they're here, it needs to be in person. If we're having an online meeting, it could wait until September or October and people can zoom in from wherever they are and they'll have a lot more time and we'll have a lot more time. So I would say we do either 2 in-person meetings or we do 1 in-person meeting now and 1 virtual meeting later in the fall. I certainly agree with the idea of having the roadshow or the tables at the existing events, but personally, I think having a virtual meeting in the middle of summer is a burden on everybody's time that's not going to be productive. Thank you.
Good points.
If we're not doing breakout tables, could we do a meeting in July at the police station, with the select board meet?
We could, it just depends on what time of the day, that's the problem, but I've worked for the guys at the Nantucket Inn and they have, remember those big conference rooms, they have big rooms there.
Yeah,
They have conference rooms in the basement and they have the ballroom upstairs. Where they used to have a lot of events, if you remember the AIDS thing on New Year's Eve. There were 600 people there. So there are other places we can do, they have to be handicap accessible under the law,
right.
which that is entirely handicap accessible. So there are various places to go. And I just talked to that guy at the Nantucket Inn today about something. So we get it together. We like
Yeah.
next week. We can figure out what we want on a survey and stuff like that. So we have something to actually roadshow with. And then I like the notes. Maybe we can distill them into something that can be put out to the public as to what the public comments were at the first one. I think that we'll get more information better than less information. Anybody else have any?
Yeah, I do have a draft of an online survey, which we're just internally reviewing, and then I'll send to you guys hopefully in the next couple days, and then you can take a look at that. But I agree, whatever we have next, we should have the online survey ready to go with a QR code and a link and all of that so that people can easily get to it. And when is the State of the Harbor meeting?
It's Tuesday, July 18th.
What
We're
time?
just about to start promoting it. It's gonna be 4:30.
Yeah.
6:30.
Okay.
And I think that at that type of an event, having the QR codes is great, but also having a few paper copies on hand for folks that aren't necessarily gonna go online to take it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely be there on the 18th. I'll already be on Nantucket the weekend before, so I can easily stay a couple extra days and go to that meeting if we wanted to do some sort of a short presentation and then a table for people to go and make comments at.
Yeah, I think the presentation you guys did before we split up into our various groups at the Nantucket Hotel, that was fairly short, very to the point. And I think that gave them the information that we need them to have. So sort of bootstrap off of what you did at the very beginning of that meeting, because it was really short and most of the meeting was spent in our groups.
I have just maybe should have brought this question up a long time ago. Is the purpose of this additional public meeting or public meetings to get more input along the lines of what we had just from new audiences? I think that's what I've heard, but just want to make sure that that's the goal and that it's not actually to weigh in on any sort of ideas or recommendations that we might start formulating early on in the process. Is it just more public information gathering generally?
I think it's a little bit of both, but hearing from people that weren't here for the last one, because they simply were not on the island for the last one. Because a lot of that room was people who live here and have a big stake here already. So I think it's both.
Awesome. So then,
To say, and a lot of it's gonna be in chapter 91 for these guys.
so then another idea is rather than doing a meeting, we could just set up somewhere. We did this for the Chelsea plan where we set up along the Chelsea Creek and just intercepted people. We had maps and it was very interactive and folks could stay for 5 minutes, they could stay for 45 minutes, whatever they wanted, but it was sort of just this passageway that people would walk through along the path that had information about the plan, why we were doing it. And then towards the end, there were opportunities to talk about public access, talk about environmental justice, whatever they wanted to talk about. We had people there with maps and sticky notes and people taking notes. So we could do that if folks wanted to try something different.
That won't work here because you don't have a pass through here. That
Well, I
won't-
mean, could we set up along
Oh, please,
downtown somewhere?
never mind. The juice bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll happily sit in front of the juice bar and get some ice cream.
Can't be hit by a truck or, no, there isn't anywhere to do that here. They don't like people setting up on the public sidewalk. We have to get a permit. Yada, yada, yada. There's no, that doesn't work here because it just doesn't work here.
I would disagree. I think that would be such a fun way to engage people, have copies of the survey, copies of the maps. Maybe it's, even like a little bit of a six kind of pages of what would be a PowerPoint of just at least topics of conversation. And I think that's where we can partner with somebody. Maybe it's at a coffee shop where they can, like I'm thinking Handlebar has those seats outside. I think that could be a really fun way to engage the public in a less formal setting. And give that many more opportunities for feedback. And there's totally that like Parks and Rec Leslie Knope side of it where you do have to sit and listen to the same thing a lot of times, but I think the more the better. I would totally be willing to take a shift at a table if we could find a cool spot for that. Handlebar somewhere on Old South Wharf. I think that's the type of outreach we can and should do.
See Street Park.
That's
the
vote, but I just, I don't want to do that in place of the face meetings. I don't want to do that in place of the meetings that we want to have. If somebody wants to do that as an adjunct, that's fine, but what you're gonna get is a lot of people downtown, not the Handlebar, that are transient, they're here for the day, or they're here for 2 days. They're not the people that we have an objective. Even the brewery is a lot of different people. I mean, I can't think of a single location where you're gonna find the people that actually live here. It's not gonna
It
be-
doesn't even have to be downtown and it doesn't have to be, gathering just random public input from passerbys. You could set it up somewhere else outside of downtown. It's just a more informal way of people participating. Somebody who doesn't have an hour and a half or doesn't want to sit at a public meeting. It's just another way of gathering the same information, but it's less formal. People can bring their kids if they wanted to. I know a lot of people might be out there with their kids for the summer and they don't have a babysitter or whatever. So
Right,
it's just
great
another
cross
option.
section. Do it in front of the Stop and Shop,
Yeah.
like Mike Burns did when he was, doing traffic stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they
where
don't-
you
they
get,
don't like
that's
that
where you get.
anymore.
What's that?
They don't do
I mean,
that.
there's plenty of space by the harbor master's office in Tidal Creeks. That's going to get you a much more local cross section of the population. They're boaters. They care about this. I think if we're going to do an event some evening, then, setting up a table somewhere during the day. Again, if we're bringing our friends over from Urban Harbors, I think making use of the day is a great idea.
Yeah, I think I actually like it. I know like Nantucket, I hear what you're saying, Linda. Sometimes the town government's not super into that, but we'll find a way. I think like Town Pier area or Children's Beach or even maybe just set up on Straight Wharf. I think there's some good opportunities there. I think we still have to have another in-person summer meeting, another one in addition to this, but I think we could try to do both. And then just while I have the floor related to the actual in-person meeting, we should just make sure to try to change the day and the time from what we did in June because some people were here the whole season, but every Monday night at 6 they have something. So we'll do it on a Thursday at 4. Who knows what, but just a different time.
Yeah, I mentioned that, Seth, that both the meetings should be at different times, like at night, later in the day when people are back from the beach or back out of whatever they're doing, out of work, off the water. So, yeah, we have to hit different, we talked about that at the very beginning about having different times on these meetings to hit different people. So I think that's a great idea.
Kim, were you talking about just one person like yourself sitting somewhere and handing out information? Is that what you were talking about?
I think, I'm not sure if you said Kim, but I can answer. So I think that we can do it so that, 1 or 2 people are at the table and we have a plan for what the table is going to be. So, have, a link to the online survey, have information about the plan, and have a place where people can provide input right then and there.
Okay,
perhaps-
I'm sorry to cut you off. I've been a long time volunteer for Sustainable Nantucket at the farmers market, and we have a table reserved for nonprofits.
Oh,
And
mostly
they
tourists.
get to rotate in and out. They don't get to the table
Lot of
every
summer
single Saturday, but
Yeah,
you could have a table at the farmers market.
Yeah.
And
That's a good
there's a
one.
lot of summer people that pass through there. So.
Yep.
It's every Saturday, 8:30 to 12:30. So,
who do they have to, they have to talk to Sustainable to get a table?
yep.
Okay.
I can give you the contact stuff if that's the thing we want to do.
But I think it works, that's every single Saturday from 9 to 12, is it?
8:30 to 12:30.
8:30 to 12:30, every single Saturday through Columbus Day. So it's not just the one time, yeah, Friday's not raining, even people are down there when it's raining under the tents. But it runs every Saturday, so it's not a one-hit wonder. So if we want to pick up something, Peter, you have a table there. At the very beginning,
I'm a volunteer. They let me sell my honey there. So I'm sitting there,
yeah,
but a nonprofit would have its own table. Or the town.
is there enough room over there? Because usually everything's pretty packed.
Well, that's why you need to make contact with them and say, we're interested in doing this, and then the market manager will schedule you in, and yeah.
Can we say we want to be next to you?
I'm not always sitting there.
Because you're the first person anybody ever sees there, besides the one on the other side.
Yeah, so do you think that the farmer's market would be in place of doing a table somewhere else?
Yes,
That just be the table spot?
yes.
Yep.
I was just gonna,
People there.
sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna add as well that, I mean, whether it's the farmer's market or somewhere else, I don't think that, and I think this would be a great addition to, again, another summer in-person meeting, but I don't think this needs to be limited to who happens by wherever we set up. I think that if we do this, it should be something that's well advertised to the island community as another opportunity to stop by between the hours of X and Y to give your input and to provide input. So if they can't make it to these other meetings, this is just another time when someone could say, oh, I actually am free now. I'm going to go by because they're sitting there and just there to talk to the public during these times about the plan. So I think that we should be a little more strategic about advertising that as an opportunity for input. And
Nantucket year-round community, Wisconsin Gazette. I think there's another one floating around out there. We have other ways of advertising and other ways of putting up our QR code and all that stuff on these media sites that everybody visits all the time. Nantucket Current,
Yeah, daybreak.
yeah, Daybreak, Nantucket Current, we have a lot of places to go. If we craft something and media piece that we can put up.
Yeah, I think that would work. Peter, maybe if you can send the information to the farmer's market, we can reach out to them and see if we can schedule a time in July that we can go and be there.
We just have to develop the material right now to.
Yep.
At the table. So we should meet next week without fail on this. And I wanted to bring up something that Phil has been going on about, because you and Phil have been in the same email chain about taking our next meetings after we get all this together, the media package together, and going through one chapter at a time and just fleshing out one section at a time. So we do
From
want
the
to
old,
get rid of
from the
it.
old plan or?
Yeah, from the old plan, or whatever, based on the matrix, whatever. But we have to clear out the matrix as to what we still need to do and what we don't need to do. And have just a matrix of what needs to be done. And then spend isolated times on each one of them and flesh them out each chapter and move on. So we're not all over the place. He's very insistent on this. We've gotten, what, 2 or 3 emails about this.
Yep.
And I think it's a good idea. So we have to get some of this other laying the foundation stuff out of the way up here, and then we gotta start buckling down on each section. And clear up that matrix and stuff we don't need to have on matrix anymore. That makes sense? Anybody?
Yeah, I think some of that, Linda, will happen as we develop the plan anyway. So whether we want to do it just with the matrix or we want to do it as we process each topic area, I think maybe it makes more sense. For example, if we were going to talk about water quality, we talk about what was in the last plan, what we heard, clear up the matrix and start developing next steps rather than treat it as like the matrix is a separate task that we
Right.
have to address all at once. Before we start doing the next plan.
That makes sense, but just, he was really focused on one aspect at a time. And clear it out.
Yeah, I think the way that these plans typically work is that we'll take a topic or two and start focusing on those and develop questions for you guys and material for you to review. And that's how the conversations will go at the committee level. It's not going to be that we disappear and then we present you with a full draft to look at. So there'll be lots of opportunities to talk about the different topics specifically by topic. And it may be a smaller subset of us gets together to do some of that work and comes back to the larger committee. We'll have to sort that out, but. I know time is running short. We have like 10 minutes. I'm not sure that we came to a final decision about the public meetings. Can we just, so that we have an idea of what it is that we're charged with and what we need to start advertising by when?
Well, if it's helpful, it sounds like we want to do an in-person in July. Let me see if I can't pin down a venue this week that has a couple options date wise. We can just email those dates to the group and then decide from there.
I can help you with any part of this.
I'll just say Lisa on it. She'll
Do you want to ask her to do an August option too while she's reaching out to folks?
We'll do both. Well, I know we had talked about for August, trying to do one in town and one in Madaket. In August,
Everybody.
yeah, I mean, that really only narrows down to one spot in Madaket, but,
Yes, it does.
but we can pin down a table. We'll try to pin down the split meeting for August that we had originally discussed, and then the new one in July. For a spot. And then send dates back around in the next couple days for everyone to throw their 2 cents on.
Okay. And in the meantime, we'll work on the survey so that you guys have a draft of that. I know Kim's got one pretty well along. And then we'll also work on getting some material that it can at least be at the event on the 18th, if not something more than that. And then we can talk about what else we might prepare for having at a farmer's market. So we can follow up on that. Is there anything else that we want to do? I mean, that's a lot of really good outreach. I think we'll be well along the way. The only thing we haven't really talked about is how to engage with the environmental justice communities. Like, do we need anything translated? Is there an extra event that we ought to do to try and engage them?
Not to throw off your work timeline and cut a week off of how long you have to accomplish things. But on Tuesday, July 11th, we do have a Clean Water Coalition speaker series, and we would be more than happy to include chat about the harbor plan and a table and all of those things. I know that does speed up how quickly things need to get done, being a week before the harbor update, but just want to extend that invite.
What time is that and where?
Tuesday, July 11th, 4:30 to 6:30 at Great Harbor Yacht Club. You're all welcome to join. Jeff will already be there.
These Tuesday meetings are tough for me because of HTC.
I mean, at a minimum, maybe, but then we'll have the notes about when we're going to be able to have the next public meetings and be able to share that. I think that's a great opportunity, the more we can continue to share, and whether we do something beyond that. I think if we're trying to get the survey out and you all want to see the survey first, that's going to push the survey out to probably mid-July anyway.
Well, do we have a date next week we can meet? Everybody can, obviously not Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, probably not Wednesday for me.
Next week is tough.
Thursday? You want that survey?
I mean, it could be that a small group who wants to work on the survey works on the survey that has availability, if the rest of the committee feels comfortable not having to see it.
I mean, how does everybody feel about that?
So okay with me.
What's the date?
Next Thursday,
Next Wednesday, if I could do it on a Wednesday, it'd be better for
it'll
me.
be Thursday, the 6th.
Are we waving at you from Maine?
You're right in Maine. Oh, that's right, you have your pied à terre in Maine. I forgot about that. With no running water, no window.
No.
I actually have availability, so I could help next week.
All right, so we're saying Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday's the 6th is a Concom meeting.
Does that,
Oh.
are we? Can we meet that?
How about
with
Wednesday? Who
public
can
Notice and stuff or not?
Who can meet on Wednesday?
Well, I think
I can't.
Wednesday's
could.
the day after the 4th. If we set it for Thursday, could we just, I mean, I think if we set it as a remote meeting, it would probably be easiest.
During the day as opposed to we have a Concom meeting today.
Yeah. But Concom's up to 5. So. I mean, we could set it for this same time on Thursday and just do remote Thursday from like 1 to 2.
Okay. Does that work? If you can get us the survey ahead of time, who can meet on Thursday, 1 to 2?
I can right now unless the weather's really good. My boss says we're going fishing.
I can, yeah.
Say summer rolls. I
That's
get
the way
a
it
call,
rolls.
I get a call the night before and
Off we go. All right, so I guess we'll post it for Thursday, 1 to 2, strictly on Zoom. Is that where we're going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I don't have to worry about finding a spot or doing it, even if
Okay.
it's just
And
here.
if you can get us your survey draft ahead of time, we'd have something to talk about.
Yes, definitely. I'll send that out.
Okay. Anything else anybody wants to bring up?
well, we didn't tackle the environmental justice community, which
Yeah.
was brought up.
They're
Just wrote that up.
representative of that community. There's somebody who speaks for them.
Who is that?
Roberto is volunteered to meet that requirement for the state right now. He's tied up today. But
Okay.
it's there. I know I did see, not to put him on the spot, but we'd also talked to some other town staff. And this is just an area that we have not really tackled as a town very well to
Not
this
Clam-
point.
Not Clambo.
No,
Okay.
Rainbow's long gone.
so, but we'll have to do some more thought on that, on how best to do that.
All right.
'Cause It needs to actually be like meaningful engagement and not just.
Not just
engagement
a
'cause we have to.
name only.
I noticed also that, is it Kimball, or I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, is online? Wasn't
Kamal?
sure.
Yes, our
Kamal
DI
okay?
coordinator Kamal joined us today just to kind of listen in. Don't want to put him on the spot, but
Is he up there somewhere?
he's on Zoom.
I'm here, I'm listening.
Oh,
Great.
I hear ya.
So, but Kamal and I have talked about it and we've had kind of an internal work group that this is meaningful engagement of our environmental justice community is something that we all would like to figure out and do. And Kamal and I have chatted about it. Our human services director, Jared O'Malley, has been part of that too. And it's just an area that townwide, we need to do a much better job in finding engagement opportunities and participation opportunities.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a work in progress. But I'm confident at some, we'll come up with some ideas and some strategies to do that and hopefully get some really good engagement pieces put together.
Because there's a language barrier, for some of this, isn't it?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
Amongst a number of other, I mean, some of it, the hurdles aren't always as simple as language
No, it's
or not as
cultural
language.
and language and.
Yeah, it's there. Again, it's something the town is trying to work on, but admittedly could be doing a much better job at.
Can I suggest or make a request? Kim, is it possible for you to send an email out to everybody and ask them to just let you or somebody know if they're not gonna make a meeting? Because at the beginning, we weren't even sure we were gonna have a quorum here.
I knew Phil was.
Yeah, but he didn't tell anybody else apparently.
Well, he sent an email to you and me.
Oh,
He
he
was
did?
Sailing down to Mystic.
Okay, well, anyway, just to remind, Dave's not here and just to, just to remind people that. Email ahead of time if you can, if you can't make it, no one's gonna make every meeting, but that way, if for some reason we don't have a forum, we don't have to all just show up and then disband.
Oh, it happened to me last week.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I can send an email about that.
Yeah, but I knew Phil wasn't coming. He told us,
And Jesse did email that she couldn't make it as
Yeah,
well.
I saw that one from Jesse to
yeah,
everybody.
Phil told us when he was here in person.
So I did, oh,
Yeah.
okay, and I forgot. I don't know where Dave is, so, is he on island or,
He may be in North Carolina.
yeah, he might be.
I think that's where he is.
Oh, he's not here.
He's not
Tell me how Marl.
Where it's hotter.
somewhere. Out, not here.
He's not here. Okay.
Okay. Anything else anybody wants to bring up? Great. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn at 2:00?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
Okay. You in favor,
Aye.
Peter?
gotta do roll call, okay,
Yeah, because they've done.
aye.
Let's see who's up there.
Sam,
Emily,
Emily,
Sam,
and
and
Seth.
Emily,
Aye.
Seth,
Bye.
Sam.
She left.
Oh, is anybody else up there?
That's it.
Okay, and I'm in favor. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.